Well, good morning and welcome to Zen Live for ideas that can change your mind. Again, the problem with this camera, well, it cut off. I was doing this talk and it cut off in about 3 minutes. And the problem with this, I use an iPod and I can't tell if the camera's on or not. So there's no little red light or something. And I'm not looking in the mirror. Well, I'll tell you what. Let me just turn this around. And where you see that, that's my living room. There. Okay, the reason I can tell that I'm on now, but now you see this is backwards, so we won't even use that. Okay. So let's pick up. The topic of this was who do you trust? Your body knowledge. And so I just changed this. The second talk now is trust your body. And we're talking about our living in a culture, a semantic culture of language, which we call the American culture, and then that's in the Western culture. So you really have Western culture, Western civilization as a particular semantic language, and you can have different languages in there, but each country then has its own culture, and so you have this Russian nesting dolls of layered cultures all the way down to your family, which would be your first culture. And so when we're born, we are acculturated into these cultures as reality. So the child creates his reality on the culture he's born into. And there's no assumptions of another reality because that's the only one. That stands alone. This is a survival mechanism. Otherwise, you'd be psychotic, you know. You wouldn't know, imagine what it would be like if everything you saw was 5 different ways of looking at it. Should I go there? I don't know. Should I go there? No, I don't know. You see, you go crazy. It's ambiguity. So a culture offers you an unambiguous reality overall. But then you have these subcultures which create an ambiguity between the subculture and the overculture, but we'll get into that. So I really wanted to talk about body knowledge. Now my preferred practice is Zen, and I'm not a Zen Buddhist in the sense that I go to a Zen monastery and I do Zen practice. I don't do any of that. But I am a follower of the Dharma, or the practice of Zen, because the practice is a verb. So the practice of Zen as a practice connects you with your body knowledge. Just like in the 60s with the hippies. It said, turn on, tune in, turn on, drop out. What was that about? Tune in, turn on, drop out. Drop out to what? Body knowledge. The Buddha nature. Now, body knowledge, of course, with the hippie thing, was creating a subculture. That's not what we're talking about. Creating no culture. You see, no culture means that you can still live in this culture, but you're not of it. You're in it, but you see through it. It becomes transparent. This is what Joseph Campbell talked about. Making culture transparent to the transcendent. What's the transcendent? Body knowledge. Body knowledge transcends intellectual knowledge, which is acculturated. Our intellect is part of our cultural image, self-image. Mad Men was all about that. So, I forgot to put my timer on, so we'll just wing it here. So we're looking at body knowledge, and I think I didn't mention before, but the perfect example of body knowledge in my experience was my mother when she lost her car keys, and she was running around in circles for 5 days, and she was 100 years old. She was still driving, but I said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "I'm going to have a stroke or a heart attack if I don't find the keys. It's driving me crazy." So you know what happens when you lose your keys? You get in a tape loop. You keep looking in the same place twice, thinking maybe I missed it before. Maybe it'll magically appear. Well, it doesn't, and there's a lot of anxiety there. You're going nuts. You've lost control. You can't get out of a tape loop. So the next time I saw her, she was happy, and I said, what happened? Well, she said, I just gave it up to God. And immediately I just walked into the bedroom and went to opened the closet and put my hand in the sweater, and there were my keys. That's body knowledge. The body didn't say, she didn't hear a voice from God saying, go look in the closet. She just found her body going to the closet, and her mind was just riding along, wondering where we were going. It's kind of like a child in the backpack going along. Where are we going? Or you pick up a cat and you take it somewhere. The cat's just said, where are we going? You see, I'm just going along. So conscious mind was just going along with the body. It had surrendered. My mother also said, which is another example of body knowledge, she said, you know why I'm so happy? I said, why, Mom? She said, because I have no future. Pause. When I was younger, I had a future and I wasn't so happy. But now I'm happy. Just to be here, that's body knowledge. Just being here is body knowledge. And when you're being here, you're in sync with reality, because you're not out of sync with reality by being in your culture, with your identity. I talked about our different names, and remember I talked about Prabhakar, which was a spiritual name I got when I was with Swami Muktananda. And everybody gets, if they get into a religious organization, so they usually get a spiritual name. Because the one that was given to us is our cultural name, and that name is who we think we are. You have a profile, you got your likes and your dislikes, you got your memories, your hopes, all of these qualities. It's kind of like things, post-ups stuck all over you with all of your likes and dislikes posted all over you. See, that's culture. And that identity is your cultural name. And this is important because everybody knows your name. Hey, Ed, come here. Hey, Ed, do this, do that, you see. It also has a great memory attached to it. Oh, he always does that. Mine is, I have aggressively thrown things out. I have been, I'm trying to correct that, an aggressive thrower-outer. Something's lying around, I throw it out. Hey, what happened to, where did my, I was still drinking that. So Ed has this memory that is in the family. So if I pick up anything or if I go by them, don't throw that out. Then I get irritated because, no, they won't let me, they're hanging the past around me like a rubber tire, a burning tire, you see. Let me be free from my past. We all experience that. People bab us with our past. But who is it that is irritated with being hit with our past? Our body knowledge. Body knowledge knows that I'm not the past. Body knowledge knows that I am just now. That's it. And if you're just now, you are in sync with reality. But as soon as I identify with my Ed Conley and my culturated reality, I'm out of sync with reality, and now I'm dependent upon the cultural reality, which is only interested in its survival. Cultural reality, abstract reality, semantic language reality is all abstract language. And it's kind of like civilizations that's lifted off the actual ground, and everybody is running around up there in this flat land, you see, believing the words they talk about. The menu is the food. We read the menu of reality and eat that. The real reality, the body reality, is down here, and we don't even know it's there because it doesn't talk to us, and we can't talk to it. It has no language. Avatar was all about this. So many layers to Avatar. Come back to that movie all the time. Avatar. Jake Sully. was a culturated person. Notice he was wounded. He had been wounded fighting for his culture. This abstraction, you see. So he is our reluctant hero, and he ends up going to Pandora. And he is taught by his mentor, don't know her name, but he was taught by his guide how to get in contact with his body knowledge and jump out of trees without fear. Jump on a dragon and bond with it. Jump on this horse and bond with it. Not think about it, but become it. So in body knowledge, you are reality. There is no boundary anymore. That's why when the tsunami comes, the elephants leave. And I'll bet you all the birds in Florida have already left. They're not going to get swept up in this thing. They're flying out of there. They know what's coming. How do they know? Body knowledge, you see. They know where the keys are. They know where the car keys are, you see. So there was a book I read. I got to get the title up again. But this fella was an anthropologist, and he studied these Aborigines, this archaic tribe in the Amazon, in the rainforest. And they would let him in, and he'd talk to them, and he began to understand what they were doing. And whenever he was going to see them, somebody was always at the edge of the forest. And he said, how did I'm not telegraphing anything. How did they know I was there? And he asked, well, how did you know I was there? I just, I can't contact you, so I just come, and there's somebody there. I don't know. I'm just there. Somebody is there. The Australian Aborigines lived in body knowledge. They'd be sitting out there in this arid land, and suddenly the whole tribe would just get up and run 20 miles, and there'd be a rainstorm. The fox is full, and the rabbit will jump over him, knowing the fox is full. But if the fox is hungry, the rabbit won't jump over him. The lion, who's just had a big meal, will walk among the zebras, and the zebras won't mind. But if the lion is hungry, they know. So body knowledge is a awareness of the concrete reality. We all know this and experience it in little glimpses when we have synchronicity. Suddenly, I'm thinking to somebody, and they walk in the door. Whoa, thank you, Jesus. It's a miracle. When body knowledge is activated all the time, that's normal. Everything is synchronous. I discovered, a couple of years when I was doing more photography, if I had an appointment, then I forgot to look at my computer or even write it down. I might go to Richmond, and I would come back maybe an hour, 2 hours later after the appointment. And the appointment and the people were just coming in the door. Boop. And they would be apologizing for being late. A goodie. Oh, this was a fun example. I forgot my timer, so I got to keep a check on. I don't know what time it is. That's another symbol of body knowledge. It's timeless. So 3 years ago, I was called up and said, "You come get a colonoscopy." I said, "Well, I don't want a colonoscopy." And they didn't send me any data. They didn't send me anything to take. So I said, "I'm not gonna take that damn stuff." So I go there, not having drunken that gallon of nasty stuff. And so the nurse, I'm sitting there, and the nurse says, "You ready?" I said, "Did you take your thing?" And I said, "No." And this funny look comes over her face, You didn't take it. So she says, "Wait a minute." So they go back and look, and she comes out and says, "Oh, there was a confusion. You're not scheduled for a colonoscopy until 2 years from now." Thank you, Jesus. So I went home, and I just had the other colonoscopy, and I'm 80 years old. He says, "Okay, you don't have to come back." Yay! But the point is, if there is a point, that all of our hero movies, Indiana Jones, MacGyver, I love MacGyver, are all about body knowledge. Superman, you see. So when Superman is our body knowledge beneath the clothes of our culture. Take off the clothes of our culture and our Ed Conley identity, and Superman is there. Metaphor, okay? But the metaphor points to our body knowledge that is beneath our cultural clothes. But we don't know it. We've forgotten it. We're asleep in our cultural clothes. But we have little moments of awakening and we think they're miraculous. And inside a creative idea, we're suddenly at the right place at the right time instead of being at the wrong place at the wrong time. When we live in culture, we're always at the wrong place at the wrong time. Culture is out of sync with the ground. That's the whole problem, you see. Culture is based on past, and a continuation of the past. Body knowledge has no future, no past. It's just now. Just this. That's Zen. Just this, you see. So when you get to get to just this, you have to stop being attached to roof brain culture, thinking, concepts, and our image of who we are. It's all supported by the placemat of culture, you see. And then culture creates ambiguities. Culture creates contradictions, which create great anxiety because then we don't know who we are. When body knowledge awakens, there is no ambiguity. You are unambiguous. This is what's called speaking your word. Speak, the prayer goes, speak but the word, and my soul will be healed. Speak but the word, and your ambiguity will be healed. Speak but the word, and you will be free from cultural ambiguity and contradiction. And living as an image, like in Mad Men. Mad Men was all about dropping out, falling out of image, culture. Go back and look at Mad Men from that point of view. Be very awakening. Look at all the hero movies from that point of view. They're all metaphors for our body knowledge. We think it's all about somebody else's fantasy. No, it's about you. It's about you. Your body knowledge is your Buddha nature. That's what Buddha nature is, your body knowledge. It's sleeping. It's been put to sleep by culture. Children have body knowledge, but it's completely out of sync with cultural knowledge. You see, so whatever the child quickly learns to obey cultural knowledge instead of body knowledge. Cultural knowledge defines everything. And we begin to believe the concept is the reality. And we eat the menu instead of eating the dinner. Oh, look at those beautiful pictures. Oh, that is a great meal. I want to have that, you see. And then the meal arrives and we don't even know we're eating it. You see? Because the menu looks better than the meal. That's what we want. I want the image. I want the image, you know. So we just brush right over the actual food of life in order to get to the next image. Because that's where reality is, in the image, you see. Anyway, so the whole point, the topic of the idea behind this is trust your body knowledge. And that's what meditation is all about, and yoga. Yoga, meditation, is getting in touch with your body knowledge, awakening your body knowledge. When body knowledge is awakened, you're in sync with the world and yourself. You are the world and the world is you. That's why when I say open up, I say you're the center of the world. That means when you're in body knowledge, you're at the center of the world, but there's no boundaries. In cultural knowledge, reality, there are boundaries. There's a little you, and then there's all these other yous with their opinions, and we're all fighting each other. You see, because it's all ambiguous. In body knowledge, there's no ambiguity. You just do it, like the Nike commercial. You just do it. If a hurricane's coming, you just leave. Before the hurricane gets there. Before the media knows it. You're at the right place at the right time. But you're not getting any telegrams about it. You just do it. You just know it. And we all have moments of this, when body knowledge gets us out of a fix. Especially when we're driving. You're driving along in your Ed Conley, yada, 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 and suddenly a truck swerves at you, and the next moment you're driving around it like a madman into the ditch and out and back on the road, and you say, what the hell was that? Who was driving that car? You weren't thinking. Body knowledge was driving. Ed Conley wasn't there. Ed Conley was there before the truck swerved at you, car swerved. This really happened to me. So before, I was driving along at night, and suddenly this car fell asleep. I don't know what, but suddenly he was directly in front of me, headlights going, and I just went around in right side of the car, half in the ditch, and then back on, at 60 miles an hour, and then back on the road. And for that moment, Ed Conley was not there. Ed Conley was sitting in there, la-di-da-di-da-di, then vroom, and then Ed Conley was back. And Ed Conley said, what the hell was that? Who was driving the car? And then they go through the space between thoughts. Well, there was the thinking Ed, then there was a space between thoughts where body knowledge took over, and then there was thinking again. That was the space. That was the space where your Buddha nature came out, where your true nature came out, where your body knowledge came out. Okay, thanks for dropping in. I don't know how long I talked, but I'll see you this evening.